Hello. Welcome to Car Expert YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. The 2016 Ferrari 488 GTB is based on the same aluminum underbody as the 458, but with less dramatic looks. The front grille channels air through the radiators, cools the brakes and denies air access to the underbody, which consequently develops low-pressure areas that suck the car to the road. There's a movable spoiler under the body at the rear to reduce drag at high speed in a straight line. A blown rear spoiler channels air underneath the wing and pushes turbulent vortices away from the body to reduce drag. The horrible look of the door handles is because they're shaped to funnel air into the engine intake ducts. Then there's the engine. It's basically the same all-aluminum, 3.9-liter, flat-plane crank V8 as in the new California T. New parts include the bottom end, slipper pistons, revised cylinder heads, and camshafts, but the valves carry over. On a display stand the power plant is enormously wide, mainly because of the long inlet tracks and twin I-hit turbos sticking out the sides. The blowers are made of a titanium aluminum alloy with a ball-bearing supported turbine shaft and compressor seals that can touch the housing without damage, abradable, if you want a new word, all of which helps improve volumetric efficiency, reduce inertia and speed throttle response. Like the rest of the 488, the running gear is more revised than reimagined. The transmission is the same 7-speed, dual-clutch gearbox as in the 458. The rear differential is Ferrari's electronically controlled limited-slip unit, which varies the amount of torque supplied to each wheel according to steering and slip angles. There's also a retuned version of Ferrari's side-slip angle control which stiffens and slackens off the magnetorheological shocks to improve grip. Those two bits of hardware plug into the F1 track stability and traction control system to maintain driver control even with the wheels spinning and the car sliding. Climbing across the wide sills and you are faced with the expansive dash, open footwell, and low center console typical of mid-engine sports cars. There's a huge tachometer flanked by ancillary displays for everything from oil and water temperatures to lap times. The infotainment display is tiny and the system is pretty hopeless. There are no steering column stalks, just fixed gear change paddles behind the wheel. Like in the 458, controls for turn signals are on the steering wheel. Press the big red start button to fire things up and the turbo engine drones through the aluminum body. It's quiet, almost inaudible at low revs, but at medium speeds it has a muffled, flat note that is far from the strident clarity of the old turbo-free V8 in the 458. By restricting the revs and managing boost pressure, Ferrari manipulated the engine's behavior in the lower gears to feel like the torque delivery of a naturally aspirated engine. On the track, where the throttle is generally wide open or shut, this works, but the part load conditions on the road have a slightly artificial feel. Of no doubt, however, is the sheer power of the forced induction V8. If you floor the throttle at whatever speed, you'll be leaving your stomach in Marin. It's so powerful that the traction control light is on most during on the road. Driving the 488 is an exercise in self-control. On the Ferrari's Frano test track it felt even more insane. The engine's stentorian blare is certainly loud, but the electronics are silently managing the power. The gearbox normally makes fast but gentle changes, except in race mode where they're fast and abrupt. The first three ratios are closely stacked, which makes for shocking acceleration out of hairpin corners. The 488 GTB has a great chassis, though, and the performance is mean and magnificent. Even the looks are objectively great, but hanging over the 488 like Banquo's ghost is the outgoing 458, with its looks and clarion-sounding engine. If we hadn't tasted and heard the old car's brilliance, we would give its replacement all the stars it probably deserves. But we have, and in that respect the 488 is lacking in some important matters for most Ferrari owners. In exchange for speed, the 488 GTB relinquishes some of the emotional feel that makes our heart race.